Welcome back to another episode here on Coach's Corner. I am Paulie Barr, the founder of Identity of One Coaching, and I specialize in helping men and women like yourself break free from your past and identify your true identity, which will uncover your gifts and talents that are on purpose for your life of freedom. As you dive into this podcast, grab a pen and pad, your favorite flavored coffee, or whatever you may be into this very moment, and get ready for tips and nuggets to help set you free. If there is anything on any one of these episodes that has brought value to your life, do me a huge favor, my friend, and drop me a review down below here on Apple Podcast. You can also follow me on Spotify and iHeartRadio, and we're also on Audible and Pandora and all of your favorite podcast apps. So, with that being said, let's dive in. Well, here we are. Welcome back to another episode here on Coach's Corner. I am Paulie Barra, and I am so excited because today we have a very special guest, Simone Knego, and we met on Clubhouse, and so we connected, and hey, we're here today to have an awesome conversation. So give you a little feedback of who she is. Simone is an author, a motivational speaker, and her best-selling book, The Extraordinary Unordinary You. That book right there, just the title just really stood out to me. And I'm like, wow. And so she details her journey of adopting 3 of her 6 children, recounts her climb of Mount Kilimanjaro. I hope I said that right.
You did.
And shares all of the funny, scary, and inspiring stories that came along the way. She also believes deeply that changing the way that you see yourself can help the world around you change. So I encourage everyone who is watching on YouTube or listening on Apple to go to her website, and I will highlight that here in a few moments. But Simone, do us a huge favor, my friend, and let us, tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's dive into this awesome conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. What an honor. So yeah, I'm a mom of 6. I've done a lot of different things in my life. And, honestly, for a long time, I struggled with who I felt like I was supposed to be versus who I really wanted to be. I think we all do that, right? Like there's so many pressures on us to be something that we're not. And it really took a moment for me to, I'm 48 years old now. So I was in my 40s when I had that aha moment where, I don't need to compare myself to anybody else. I just need to be me. And so all the things that I've done in my life, I've realized, it's all the little things that really do inspire the people around us. So that's kind of the message I'm trying to share. Like I said, having 6 kids, every day is a different different reality show, but it's been an amazing life. But it did take years of kind of figuring out where do I need to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And I realized I was exactly where I needed to be, and I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. I don't need to be anybody else.
I totally love that, because I was about probably 38, 39 years old when I got married to my first and only wife. And I was at a place where I was really trying to figure out who I was, what my purpose was, just the desires of my heart and all of these different areas of my life. And I was trying to fit this mold, like you said, trying to fit this mold into what other people said that I was, or what life had given me, or the choices that I made that created this path. And so we are the same age, which is awesome. So we're right there on that same cusp. And I love what you're saying. And so, this conversation is really going to inspire someone to really, truly look inwardly to say, okay, you know what? I'm tired of looking outward. I'm tired of the selfies. I'm tired of the B side of the tape. I'm tired of the filter. How do I get to a place where Simone is, right? And that's where we want to dive into. And so let's talk a little bit about the book, because I want to highlight that, just the name of it. Let me scroll back down here on my notes. But the extraordinary, unordinary you. That's power. So tell us a little bit about the book so that people know what they're getting into, but explain that title.
Yeah. So I always say that I'm just an ordinary girl. Um, I'll go into the I'm just thing later, but I am an ordinary girl, right? Like I am a mom. I am a wife. I go to the grocery store. I do the laundry. But but I'm also at the same time, I'm unordinary, right? I'm unique in my own way. And the things that I've done in my life have led me to extraordinary moments, extraordinary and overall an extraordinary life. I mean, all these little things that we do, the choices we make bring us to where we are. Um, the book itself is really about realizing what you're capable of and recognizing that the things you do every day really do inspire the people around you, that you matter, the things you do matter, your words matter. And so I was, after having 6 kids, I had the opportunity in a leadership role to go and speak on some different stages. And people would say to me, "Oh, you're so inspiring." And I'm thinking, me, again, that thing where we don't feel like we're enough. And it was those moments that really kind of opened my eyes to say, wait, it's not just me, it's everybody. We are all extraordinary. We all have these amazing stories. And when you have a conversation with someone and they tell you about their life, I think they have the realization, wait, I have a lot to tell as well, which is really important to me. I love talking. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I was in this conversation the other day, but backing up real quick, I love what you were saying about you're an ordinary person. You do the laundry, you do the dishes. I mean, I literally just loaded the dishwasher and coming downstairs because my wife works from home as well. And so it's so important that our listeners understand, listen, we all got the same kind of lives. It's just different levels, it's different geographical areas, it's different emotional states, whatever. But I was having this conversation with a very good friend of mine the other day, and she says, "What made you decide to be a coach?" And I said, "That's not something that I decided. It was something that was pretty much one of my callings because I was constantly, even in my younger days, even though I really didn't know exactly what I was saying, but I was always kind of like someone's shepherd, like always trying to protect and say, listen, I don't think that's the right path for you to go down. And so I don't think it's just something that somebody just grabs from the air and says, I'm going to be this awesome coach. It comes with life experience, right? And so in those moments, it's like when she asked me that, I really had to think about it for a minute. And I said, it wasn't the easiest thing for me to do because I had to still work through my stuff. And when I'm helping people or, aiding people, I'm still learning through that process. And I'm sure you were when you were writing the book, right?
I learn something new every day, and I learn something from everyone I speak with, right? I mean, so, and I think that's another really, important thing to remember is that we all struggle, right? So just because, I'm a motivational speaker or an author doesn't mean that, I have all the answers and that I know every moment how to fix something. I know how I want to move forward, and it's always with positivity. A lot of times it's with humor. I always feel like you should lead with humor. But, everybody struggles, right? So, like, understanding that piece as well. As an ordinary girl, I have my struggles, and it's the way I approach things, the way I look at things that I feel like gets me through the hard times, because I am definitely the glass half full kind of girl. My friend calls me positive Patty, but I'm proud of that because I bring that to the table, right? So, like, if someone's having a hard day, I always bring the positive back in, and sometimes I need people to bring it to me too. I mean, that's just how it works. But going back to your comment about how you didn't choose what you were doing right now, like being a coach was like a really, it was kind of brought to you. I've tried a lot of different things in my life. I've been a teacher. I was in medical sales. I'm a CPA. So I have all of these pieces, but I never felt completely fulfilled until I realized that really what I'm supposed to be doing is as a storyteller, sharing my story, sharing my life, the good, the bad, the funny, the sad, to inspire other people. Because again, if you want to look at chaos, we have lots of it. And I love to, I think it's really important to share all parts of our lives, not just the shiny stuff, because, you can see that on Facebook. You don't need to, you don't need to talk to me about that. I can tell you it all. So
Absolutely. I love everything that you were saying. And so earlier you had said, I am just a ordinary, right? So, but then you were like, I'll get to that just later. So explain that, because I have my perspective on I'm just. So give me yours, because I would love to hear it.
Yeah. So I don't use I'm just anymore. That used to be a big thing of how I would introduce myself, right? You'd hear people saying what they did, oh, I'm a CEO of this company, I'm this. And I'd be like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, or I'm just Rob's wife, or and I've been married since I was 21. So we've been married 27 years. That's an accomplishment in itself. He's an amazing guy, not that, just the number of years. But I think really choosing our words, and when you say things like that, you're underrepresenting yourself. I am this, I am that. And the other thing in our house is we don't use the word can't, because we say can't means won't. Really can't differentiate that, right? So can't means won't. So, I really think it's important that we are proud of who we are, exactly the way we are, and that we shouldn't have to change for anyone else. And again, my outlook is that you need to change the way you see yourself, not change who you are.
I love that, because we're on the same wavelength. Because when I hear people say, I'm just this, I correct them. And I say, no, you are not just Melissa. You are not just an ice cream man driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are not just a janitor. You are a janitor. You are wherever you are positioned, whether people believe in God or not. I believe in God. So I say, wherever God has positioned you, that's where your gift is used. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's imperative that we watch our words. And you said something very profound. I have a friend of mine, Bruce Pulver, that wrote this book, Above the Chatter, Your Words Matter. And so everything is all about words. And there is death and life in the power of the tongue. We can speak life or we can speak death. And when we're saying I'm just this, guess what? We're hearing it. And now that dialogue is playing all the time. Well, I'm just this and I'm just that. I was that guy. But now when people ask me, like, it was kind of hard for me to say, even up to about a year ago, I'm a coach. I'd be like, well, I coach people. But now it's like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm a coach. And then I explain how I coach. And they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. Like, what made you want to coach? And then we get into that whole conversation, because somebody corrected me and said, you are a coach. You already have clients. So continue to tell people that you're a coach, because this is what you do. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, we have to be proud of who we are and what we do. And, saying, when someone says, I'm just a janitor, do you know how much work that is? I mean, I couldn't be a janitor. Let's look at all these things that, how much people contribute to society. Like, we're all integral to the fabric of society. We might, be different, but our value is always the same. And I think that's a really important piece for all of us to remember and to remind ourselves on a daily basis.
That is so awesome. This is so, so good. So what I want to do now is I want to go into, let's talk about your experience of climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. What was that all about? Because I checked out the website and I'm like, man, she's like hiking everywhere. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was a really unique experience. I decided to do that hike with an organization called the Livestrong Foundation. So I'm big into philanthropy, and I figure if you're going to give me a challenge mixed with philanthropy, all the better. So that's what we did. We raised money for the Live Strong Foundation. I traveled with 16 perfect strangers. And what can't imagine a better leadership experience, figuring out how to work with a team of people that you don't know. You don't know anything about their personal lives, how they behave at work or how they, interact with other people. And now you're climbing, to the summit, 19,341 feet. And you have to figure out how to work as a team. And so that in itself was life changing, right? Figuring out how to work together, the level of patience, the understanding, helping, empathy, all of these things where you're working. It's not just a regular leadership thing where you can go into your office and close the door. But it really was life changing for me. And to accomplish that, I trained probably about 6 months. I probably could have trained for longer, but it went well. It went great. And, for my kids to see that, obviously I took time away from my family to go do this, but I think that it's really important for my kids to see that you can do anything that you put your mind to if that's what you want to do. And going back to what you said before, when I used to say the I'm just. So not only is it making me feel that I'm not worthy, but my kids see that as well, right? So it's affecting the way they talk about themselves. So that's why I think even beyond me, but how I interact with my children is so important for them to have that level of self-esteem, because again, with social media, everything's in their face every day. And so building that, from the beginning, I think is really important.
That is so, so awesome. I heard a familiar story actually from my coach when he was going through his self-development. I'm not sure if it's the same organization, but he was talking about the same thing about they were on this mountain, and it was somewhere here in the States. And there was a guy that was there at this retreat, and he was in a wheelchair. And so everyone had to help him up this mountain, and it was this team effort. And he was like, bro, like this is it's a total game changer, because like you said, you don't know these people from Adam, but you're all working together in order to get to the place where everyone wants to get. And there's so much power in that. And so it's just amazing at what your perspectives will change. And I know that you're all about perspectives, because I went to your like page and, followed you, and I'm sitting there going, you know what, all of these posts are so awesome because it's changing people's perspectives, whether someone is the same religion, the same culture, the same race, the same color, does not matter. When your perspective changes, especially with a year like 2020, everyone,
Yep.
everyone's perspective had to change. Right. So how did your perspective change climbing that mountain, working with people? Like dive into that deep inner part of your heart saying, okay, this right here totally changed my life.
I think so many pieces of it really did change my life. But really working as a team, and so many of the people that were on the trip were are cancer survivors. And so, watching them push themselves after they've gone through so many treatments. I mean, the amount of respect I had, to watch them, really challenge themselves to the max. And nobody gave up. Like, that was the other thing about perseverance. Like you have a goal in your head and you go through with it. That was another big piece I brought away from it, is that how, I fail all the time. I make mistakes all the time, and that's okay. I get back up. That's what we do. And never to take a failure as, the end of anything. It's the beginning of a new piece that's going to happen. But the perseverance part, I think, is always so important. No matter what the outcome is, it's the journey that is, what you're doing along the way. That's the true outcome for me. It's not whether I get to the finish line. It's all the things that I've done along the way. So there's so many powerful pieces about that trip, but really, I think, that the working with a team of strangers that became very, very close friends, and just watching people, persevere and really one foot in front of the other, even when things were so challenging, because they wanted to honor, whether it was a family member who had passed away from cancer or someone that was in treatment right now or themselves. So it was really, really powerful, really special.
Wow, that is so that's awesome. I mean, just everything that you're saying is just totally awesome. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was telling me about this program. I believe it's in Texas, where this lady has this team, and they go out and they get all these, entrepreneurs, and I'm talking, just big money, right? But then she goes and grabs probably 20 or 30 homeless people, gets them ready, showers them up, dress them, and everyone is in this networking meeting, and nobody knows who's who. It's not about this is my business. No, they just bring out topics, and then everyone shares and discusses
Wow.
what their mindset is. And at the end of the meeting, then she presents, these people here aren't as fortunate as the rest of us here. And it changes everyone's perspective because everyone has a voice, right? And
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to learn. I want to learn more about that program because I think that's amazing. I think so many times we put labels on ourselves and on other people, and I truly believe the only label we should have is human.
Come
I
on.
think everything else is, diversity, and everything is so important to our society. Like there shouldn't be judgment based on anything but, are you kind? Are you, you know, do you lead with as a good person? I mean, that's really to me the only things that matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, man, this is all good. I mean, we can go for hours just on that topic. So, going into your children, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that you are instilling all of these values into your children. So, you have 6 children, right?
6 children.
Adopted 3.
Adopted the youngest 3. Yep.
What were your some of your extraordinary moments that you had along that adoption journey?
Uh, it's either, can we talk for like 3 hours?
Yeah.
Um, so many amazing moments. Again, so we already had 3 biological children when we adopted. And I think really seeing, this journey through all of my children's eyes to see, the change in our lives, how much more we appreciate things. We have 2 children from Ethiopia, and then they're now 16 and 13. And then our 14-year-old is from South Korea. And when they came home, so Ari, who's 16, he was 4.5 years old at the time. And, it's completely starting over, right? These kids start at a place of loss, and we're just trying to build things up, right? I mean, we can't replace anything, and we would never try to. I'm a big believer in, I'm hoping later in life that they will choose to return home, and I call it home, return home, and kind of see, what their life was like, and try to make those connection points because, I think it's so important. And I had friends say to me, well, what if they decide to stay? And then I said, well, then I've done my job because, again, the more people that love you, the better. The more people that love my children, the better. But, we have all kinds of crazy stories, all kinds of funny stories. But I think that maybe one of the most powerful ones, really was when I met Ari. So 4.5 years old. And, we walked into the orphanage and he was eating his lunch. He had rickets. So obviously he was malnourished. And I sat down next to him, and they had prepared him that we had to send a photo album. So they, had an expectation of who was coming. And so I sat down next to him, and he fed me some of his food, and then he, held my hand, and he wouldn't let go. And to me, like that was all I needed for sure. But that was just such a powerful moment for me because this child had been through so much already. And like I felt safe, and I am safe, I've I'm always there. That's my job, is to, to be there for him. But we have amazing kids, and we have one other story I'll tell you about our adoption process is that we wanted to make sure the right choice for us was to make sure all of the kids were involved in the process, because it's not just me raising these children, right? It takes a village, and the village involves everybody else in this house. So we would take a blind vote each time. And obviously, when they were really, really little, they just thought, oh, it's great, we get another sibling. But for our last adoption, when we were discussing things, okay, now we're like really filling the minivan with 6 children. Everybody's got to be on board. And so, I handed them a piece of paper and a pencil, and instantly Olivia wrote her answer. She pushed it back to me. And I said, Olivia, you didn't hesitate. And of course her answer was yes. And I said, you didn't hesitate when you wrote your answer. And she said, Mom, we're talking about the life of another child. How could anyone vote no? Okay, bingo, job done. So, I have really amazing kids that are really supportive of, everything we do. They have great open minds. And they're just kind souls. And I'm a lucky lady.
That is awesome to hear from a child saying, listen, when it comes to a life, I mean, who would say no? You know what I'm saying? Because where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, ends will always meet somehow. You know what I'm saying? When people come together, when families come together, love conquers all. Kindness conquers all. No matter what people want to think or say, love conquers all. And I just think that's amazing because, like you said earlier, and I love this statement because I tell people the same thing is like, listen, when you're changing, you're not only changing for you, you're changing your marriage, you're changing your children, you're changing perspectives. You're going to walk into work one day and people are going to be like, who is this? I said, and you yourself will look in the mirror one day and you might get a little bit afraid, like saying, who is this person? I don't know this person, because all of life's struggles have been placed on you. And that's one of my, not one of my, but the thing that I do is I help people uncover all the stuff, and then you find the gift and the talent. And that's what brings people freedom, is being able to know, you know what? I'm not what people say that I am. This right here, this is my gift. I'm going to cherish this thing. I'm going to move forward in this thing, and I'm going to be good at it. And so that's just, I mean, there's just so much power. So as we wrap it up, explain to our listeners again, what do you mean by changing the way that you see yourself? And then why did you write the book?
I think that we put these labels on ourselves. Society pushes labels on us as well. And I think that it's really important for us to look at ourselves and be proud of who we are. And so for me, changing the way I saw myself was taking away these labels of I'm just or I can't do this, and really looking at, what I can do, and all the things that I want to do, and that I am this, and to really be proud of myself for all of these moments. One of the other things I wanted to mention is a lot of times I've heard women say, I took time off from my career to raise my children, and sometimes you hear it, and yes, it's a statement, but sometimes you hear it in a way where you're like, there should be no guilt involved in that. Like, you should be proud. I am staying home to raise my children because bringing great humans into the world is one of the most important things I can do. So I think that we really have to, kind of change that piece. We have to change the way we talk to ourselves. Yes, I talk to myself, but I think like we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I am more than, not just enough. I am more than enough. And I think that, that is, for me, that's such an important piece of who I am. Why I wrote the book, I just felt like it was really important to share my stories. I mean, this is what I do. If I want to inspire people, then I have to share it all, right? So when I first started writing, the kids were like, "You're going to talk about us?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to talk about you." You know what? But I think it's been a really positive thing for them as well to learn more about themselves, learn more about me, and again, for people to read it and say that, "Wow, I never thought about it like that before." Okay, I've done my job. Like, I think that to me is really, really important and really, really powerful. But I just wanted to share my life, share my stories. And if my stories can help one person, if I go on a podcast and it can impact one person, then I have done my job.
Absolutely. Here's what I'm hearing. You're doing it to serve people.
Yeah, I'm doing it to serve people.
You are here to serve people. Books and motivational speaking and all of that and all that comes with it, as long as far as finances, that's all the byproduct of servanthood. And that is powerful. And I love that you said, if I could just reach that one person, because I'm all about the one. If I could just build one person, I don't know how many people that person can build. And so many times, people will say, I just want to help the world. I'm like, listen, give me 2 or 3 people. If I could work with 2 or 3 versus trying to work with 25, I just need 2 or 3 at a time and just keep building the world. Right.
Yep. And those 3 work with 3, and those 9 work with 3, so, I mean, the compounding effect of that, the ripple effect is tremendous. And, and for me, as I, share my messages, and if I can impact one person, then that fills my heart. Right. So that's the gift that I get back, in exchange. And, giving to me is much better than receiving. And so far it's served me well. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure it's going to end up great. So let us know where we can find you, and where's the best place to connect with you.
Yeah. So my website, I'm the only Simone Knego in the world. I love to say that because, again, going to the unordinary piece, right? I'm the only Simone Knego in the world. So my website, and I'm on Facebook and also Instagram. If you just search Simone Knego, you will find me. And reach out. Like, I would love to have a conversation. Shoot me an email. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to have a conversation. I'm here to hear your stories and share my stories. So don't hesitate, please.
Absolutely. Well, Simone, thank you so much for coming on Coach's Corners podcast. This has been enriching. I myself have followed you on Facebook. I can't wait to see more of those posts that are going to, help change people's perspectives. And so those that are listening, all of her links will be down in the show notes down below here on Apple. And those that are watching YouTube as well, they will be there down below. So, Simone, thank you once again. Thank you for taking time out of your 6 wonderful kids to come and spend time with us. All right. So
thank you so much.
Awesome. With that being said, we'll catch you on the next episode, and God bless.